Hey, hey, I think we're online. Just got you up as co-host action. How you going, my friend?
Good evening, sir. You ready for this banger?
Yeah, we're ready. I've just invited our guests here. Hopefully they can join through on their Twitter account. But yeah, we've got a nice discussion today. Nice setup. It's gonna be good.
I'm excited. I am really excited about this one.
Ah, there he is. Nice. How's your week been? How's your week been?
Hey, so far so good. Just getting things ready so that I can head over to Vegas tomorrow and, do a little hanging out with other crypto people. Doesn't happen very often. I was told I might have to wear pants for this one. So yeah, should be a good time.
Nice one. Hey, it's good to get a wardrobe change, you know? You get yourself some nice pants.
Yeah, you usually, people only see me from the waist up. I don't have to worry about those things, but in person, exchanges apparently it's what's expected of you nowadays.
Yeah, that's right. You know, you can't always be like business or Web3 up top and PJs down the bottom.
I know. I'm living it up, man. I love this life of, just being on screen from the waist up. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah, it's crack up, man. But hey, we're doing it.
I mean,
Let's see.
talking about things from the waist up, that's not the case with what we're doing here. So much so that we got Presearch as, a partner, right? I mean, sure, it's nice and pretty on the outside surface, but there's depth to what we're doing as well. And here comes Presearch.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's a lot of things strategic that we can talk about, to scratch the surface. But yeah, it's a pretty key thing. I think we got the CEO here, Tim. Can you hear us all right?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome, man. How's things? How's things going over there?
Well, my day is winding up while yours is just starting, near as I can tell.
That's right. Yeah, it's just after yeah,
Oh, no, you're in the
afternoon
afternoon
here.
already. It's not that bad. The difference is so big, it starts to get smaller again. I love it.
Yeah, that's right, man. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of good because you can like stagger, how people are starting their days. You know, you get a lot of energy throughout the day because you're seeing people, talking to people who are like starting their days all through. You know, it
I
kind of
tell you,
carries you on a tired day.
I used to live in Eastern Europe, and I worked with people in Western Europe and the U.S., and it was fabulous because I'd go to bed at 1 in the morning and get up at 10, and I was hours ahead of everybody else. And now I live on the left coast of the United States. I wake up in the morning and I'm instantly 3 hours behind, and just playing catch up all day. And come the afternoon, it's like I'm starting to get caught up and everybody else is asleep.
Yeah, it's funny because you do have to time stuff. You're like, oh, should I bother this person for an update? Are they sleeping? And you got to remember, like, hey, they're on the other side of the earth, you know?
Well, I'm plus more and more with remote working. Just because it's midnight wherever you're calling doesn't mean they're not up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like the world we live in, right? It doesn't sleep. You know, online doesn't sleep. The digital world doesn't sleep. So you kind of have to be careful that you don't end up not sleeping all the time too, like with everything going on.
Yeah, work-life balance gets harder in a global internet 24/7 crypto world. That's for damn sure.
That's why you got
Yeah.
to take time, Tim, and do the fun things too. You know what I mean?
Oh, I don't have to worry about that. I have a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old that ensure that happens.
Yeah. Never a dull day. I'm here with you with our toddler, man. It's like, oh gosh, you know, you got enough things going on. You're trying to chase kids on a call and whatever happen. Anything could happen at any time.
So, what's up with you guys? What's happening in the mask world lately?
Yeah, I know we've been talking a lot, Tim, and yeah, we're really stoked to have you guys on board. You know, we put you on as the default search engine. We're getting a lot of feedback. What's cool recently, I've seen quite a few community members streaming in from Presearch, coming into our chat saying, "Hey, I heard about you guys. I like what I see. I'm trying it out. It's really cool." why haven't I heard about you before? You know, it's kind of cool to see some of those vibes coming in.
Yeah, and I asked everyone who was interested to sign in, although some of them I'm sure I'm not responsible for all of them. But the interesting thing is that, you know, Presearch's been around for a long time, but it's never really broke through the collective consciousness, right? And now that we're looking at like 4 million searches a day, well, we're starting to seriously monetize both within and without the crypto space. The profile is starting to increase. And, you know, we did a press release because we acquired a small ed tech focused search engine 2 weeks ago. And then, you know, the press release we put out about MASQ and Presearch, I guess the press release hasn't come out, but we announced, you know, the fact that we'll be the exclusive search engine on you guys. All of that serves to collectively raise our profiles here. And I'm really looking forward to 2024 breaking out and hitting the collective consciousness, if you will.
Yeah, I like how you said that, because I feel like we get that question often in our community. At least they're saying, hey, you know, we need to push on awareness. We need to get MASQ out there, and, you know, we need to get the name out there, the brand out there. And, you know, there's always a lot of noise in Web3 and crypto, and you just want to have a strong brand image. But to do that, having strong partners, definitely it's that whole, you know, the rising tide raises all boats. So I think, like you've said, next year is a massive year for you guys, for us, and doing it together. Hey, together everyone achieves more freedom. Team F. You know, I say that a lot to our team. So I feel like that's right on the cusp here of what we're trying to do.
Now, Tim, something that's very similar between Presearch and, oh, sorry, I don't know if I'm hearing Tim or not.
I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. All right. So something that's really similar to Tim between Presearch and MASQ is that you guys were here, you know, at the bull market last time, and we've been through this bear for a while, and you're still here. You haven't gone anywhere. I was actually just talking about you not long ago with your friend, somebody, influencer in the space, and you guys are still around. And he was talking about adding more funds to do more ads on your platform. Like, what's it been like to kind of have to rough through this, you know, kind of desert time within crypto?
Well, a little bit of history about Presearch. It had one set of management for the first 6 years, and I was the advisor because I effectively launched the program with a CNBC Asia interview I did in 2017, or launched the token. And as a result of that, my face and my interview were a banner ad on CMC and CoinMarketCap for like 6 weeks in the summer and early fall of 17. And so I was advisor for like 4 years, and then I got a little frustrated with management because they weren't executing enough from my perspective. So I left the project, and 2 years, almost exactly 2 years later, management said, "Look, please replace us. We're not doing as good a job as we need to do." So I initially agreed to be COO, but then it became very clear that we had to have some changes at the top. So I became the CEO about 4 months ago, and we've made massive changes since then, but I actually wasn't running the company during the lean times. So running this company, I was running 2 other crypto companies through it. There's a venture fund and a yield farming operation that is called Salion, P-S-A-L-I-O-N, which is ancient Greek for chain. And the VC fund has done insanely well because this quarter, we've had 3 markups because we invested during the bear market. And for the fund, we just gutted it out based on what we had made. And
Oh, kind of lost you there.
Bet you he got a call. It's usually what happens when it cuts off like that on Spaces. Somebody's dialing in.
Yeah, you get the incoming call.
No, nothing. I didn't move at anything. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
that was really weird. But the generalization that I think is, you know, that would apply to heck, it even applies to fiat markets, but it definitely applies in crypto, is bear markets are a time to build. And, I run 4 different companies, in theory, 4 different full-time jobs. 3 of them are in crypto. And in all 3 of those, we definitely followed, bear market is the time to build. Because when I took over Presearch in early August, it was, Q1 was good. Q2 and 3 were awful. So it wasn't clear whether it be a bear market or a bull market, whether the bull market had started. I think now it is. Then it wasn't. And we took the exact same philosophy. It's the time to build, because when the worm turns, as the ancient phrase goes, you'll be better positioned than someone who did the opposite to take advantage of it.
100%. And that's the thing. You can't time the tops and bottoms. Anyone who says that, oh, I called this, I called that, it's fine. Everyone wants to chase clout sometimes with that stuff. But if you can prepare yourselves for the momentum, right, the shift and the 80% of that move, and think ahead, you're going to win. You're going to win long term, right? And so you're exactly right. We've taken the same stance. We've been here for 4 years too, with no formal funding. I know we probably mentioned that a few times, but we've really just knuckled down. And through the hard times, we've had to, cull back the things that weren't as necessary and just build. And now we're seeing how that's turning along with the markets, and people are really waking up to what both our projects are doing and releasing, and the future as well. Because it's bright, let's be honest, we're not going anywhere, and we're really delivering what we say we're doing. So that's all good. There's so many places out there that are just vaporware, really making promises and just not happening. So it's cool to stand alone, not alone, but to stand out with that from the crowd.
On the VC side, I tell people all the time, look, it doesn't matter. You can have a brilliant idea, and it doesn't matter. Brilliant ideas are cheap. They're free. You can pick them up on the street. The only thing that matters is execution. And that's been the emphasis, especially since I took over Presearch, but in the other organizations I run as well. Execution is everything. Nothing else matters.
Yeah, we had a good joke, right? And if anyone remembers, like the cycle or 2 ago, and there's one person in particular who's very famous for this, is, there's no time for the announcements of the announcements of the announcements. It's like, just do what you say what you do, and make sure if you put out something on press, you want to say what you've done, not what's happening sometime randomly in the future, right? I think we know who the king of announcements is, right? Right, action. There's a meme of him.
I believe so, yeah. And I mean, it's fun, right? Like, ultimately, we just take advantage of this time to do exactly that, to build, but we got to have fun while we're doing it.
Can you guys hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm getting kicking out every once in a while.
Yeah, sorry. Repeat what you said.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I was just trying to make sure. I think it's when my screensaver goes, it goes blank, which is kind of odd. Anyway, there's something in the business school world called MBWA, Management by Walking Around. And 20 odd years ago, when I was working for a company in Europe, I made up a different acronym that's sort of similar to that. And I called it MBPR, which was Management by Press Release. Now, MBWA is great. MBPR is terrible. So I put up a rule in all the companies that I work for. Any announcements we make, any press release we put out, very simple rule, cannot include the word will. And that's it.
Nice.
So you're saying that you're not announcing something that is going to take place later?
No future tense. Exactly. And so we do a weekly live stream in Presearch, and we have something called Weekly Wins. And everyone knows the rule. If it's not done, dusted, completed, and operational, we don't announce it.
Nice. That's very good, very fair, very wholesome. And it lets people have that, right? Like it's almost under promise, over deliver, right? When you're saying, hey, it's done, it's done. This is what's here. And that's good.
Sounds like
a
no
lot of
promise
places
at all,
do.
right, Corey?
Yeah, just delivery, execution.
Exactly. Not everything else is just, it's not even relevant. right?
Yeah, it can be fluff. But I've seen your guys' Presearch. The search count is just growing, man. I mean, how have you got any idea how much you've grown across the year so far with searches?
Well, it's interesting because when I've learned, I wasn't a search expert when, and I don't think I'm a search expert now, but my knowledge is certainly increasing. And one of the difficulties with search is figuring out what exactly you're going to count as a search. When I took over, everyone was paid to search, and they were paid not a huge amount of money, but if you did a lot of searches, fake searches, you could earn a lot of tokens. So like within a week, I killed that. We cut the token reward by 90%, but then we instituted something called search staking. So people could simply stake Presearch, not spend it, never lose it. But if they staked it, then they would earn more per search. And that way, if they did fake searches and we found out about it, they would actually have those tokens at risk, as opposed to all these other token farmers. If we found them, we just cut them off and they kept their tokens. There's nothing we could do. So that initially dropped the number of daily searches to 1.1 million, and then it kept creeping up very well, some days jumping up, and thought, what the heck is this? Can that really be organic? And we didn't know. And then we discovered about 3 weeks ago that some people were scraping our search results. So you guys may know this, but if you buy search results from Bing or Google, they'll charge you like $7, or actually Microsoft is going up to 10 now per 1,000 searches. So you actually have to pay money. So it's much easier to go scrape those searches from somebody else. So what we discovered is we had some people scraping searches. And so we increased the security for that to drive some of those away. And people got faced with a lot of CAPTCHAs, so we dialed it back a little bit. So now we're in this wrestling match, which really never ends, and it never ends in search. Every search provider, from the biggest one on the planet, from Big G to the smaller ones, they're all facing this issue of search scraping. So as near as I can tell, our organic search, after we got rid of the token farmers and before the scrapers came in, was about 1.1 million per day. And now it looks to be about 1.6 million per day, because we've been doing some efforts to increase the number of searches. And so that's about my guess, it's like a 30, 40, 50% increase in 4 months. And we're really quite happy with that.
That's nothing to sneeze at, man. Over 1 million a day. And I mean, that's just, it shows that there's activity on there. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Strangely enough, this is going to sound kind of weird, I suppose, but how many searches you're doing is almost a philosophical question. So the best way that we've come up with so far to really measure how many searches you have is how well they monetize, because our demographic seems to monetize really, really well, like 3 or 4 times greater than the industry average. And that's even with some scraping, which means without the scraping, it's monetizing hugely. But if your monetization is going up, you can pretty well conclude that the number of legitimate searches is going up. But it sounds like a simple question. How many searches are you getting? But it actually turns out to be a lot harder. And we're working through it, and it'll never end. Like I said, it's a wrestling match, right? Move and counter move and counter move, et cetera. But clearly we have in the millions, and clearly the number is increasing because people really want privacy in their searches. And my God, is a lot of data collected from people when they don't use a privacy search engine. It's just frightening.
Yeah, you're dead on about the privacy and security of things. I think that's a huge thing, especially for MASQ users. Obviously, I mean, we don't want anybody snooping on what we're doing, or what we're browsing, when we're browsing it, or whatever it is that is going on in our networks. Now, something that you mentioned earlier, Tim, if you don't mind me asking this question, you said that you just jumped back on board with Presearch, and you did it because you wanted to see it succeed, and you got that invite, but you had left it earlier. And now you're looking at these couple of, quarters not doing as well as the initial one. Where's your head at? Let me ask you two main questions. Why did you come back? And why did you come back to fill such big shoes?
I'll answer the second question first. The shoes were actually quite small, because, like I said, the management I replaced wasn't really skilled at professionally running an organization. And I don't want to trash the guy too much. I'm not even going to mention his name. He's still working with the project. We still have a relationship, but he just recognized, and you have to give him a lot of credit for this. He recognized, it took him a long time, but he finally recognized that, he didn't have the skill set, and the company was really hurting when I took over. The reason I went back was because I really believe, initially, the reason I recommended the project for CNBC Asia, as a quick aside, had said, look, would you recommend some three projects to us? And I said, they wanted three big ones. And I said, no, I'll recommend a large, a small, and a mid cap token project. And I had to speak with the editor for like half an hour because she had no idea at the time that there was such thing as the equivalent of small, mid cap, and large cap in crypto. So I went through and said, okay, great, do it. So I recommended Presearch, and that's how the relationship started. I had never talked to the former CEO before then. And then so recommended it. One thing led to another, and they ended up asking me to be an advisor because I really believed in what the project was up to, and invested in the tokens. And one of the other jobs I have is as managing director of a crypto fund, not a VC fund, just a trading fund. And it put some money into it. So I had a vested interest in it, and I believed in it. And when it became, okay, you got to save it or it's probably going to go down, it wasn't much of a choice, really.
So this is a fight for survival. How is it going?
It was, and to some degree it still is, but I think we've got it under control, but it looked really dire for a while there, and it's simply because it didn't have professional management. I didn't hide this from the community. It was like, look, guys, we got to take over and pull this out, and it's not quite done, but I suspect in 60 to 90 days we can say, okay, the fixing is behind us, and now let's grow. And we're still growing. I mean, we're doing a lot of new things. We're moving to Cosmos, or adding Cosmos blockchain, so we can decentralize even more and be much, much more transparent, and a whole bunch of other initiatives, like with you guys and like with this other search engine Scout that we just acquired. So we're being very, very active. Like I said, execution is everything. But yeah, it was a really dire situation when I took over in mid-August. Really dire.
Well, I'm glad you came in early enough to, ride the bull market with everybody else, because, I really do love to see projects that are doing things the right way succeeding ultimately. I think that's what's the most important during the bull markets, because there's a ton of fluff that's going to be coming up. But if we can focus on who's doing it right, who's building, and who's going to be here in the long term, that's where I see the win for the entire ecosystem. Not just a project that's coming and going. It's people that are here to build products that people are going to use for a while and long term. So I appreciate the efforts of coming back, even if it was a little selfish. Like, I got to make this thing survive. I'm glad you're here, Tim.
Yeah, there's certainly an element of selfishness in it. I won't deny it at all. But it's interesting, the emphasis you're putting on how long the project has been around, because prior management by no means was all bad, and they were able to get it to survive this long. So now that we've proven we can survive, now we have to prove that we can thrive, and that's what we're up to now.
Yeah, and talks, even in, I'll tell you, the influencer community, like, there's a lot of good people that really care about what Presearch is doing, the way that you guys have been going about doing things, and just wanting to see you guys win. And I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say that I am one of those people that I really, really want to see you guys win. From Rice being excited about what you guys are doing to, Andy, there's plenty of us out here that are really gung-ho about making sure that, the search engine does become a decentralized platform where people aren't scraping for your data.
Ah, you know Rice. That's cool.
I know a few people. Yeah, I know a couple of people. Rice is a good dude.
It's funny when what most people spend their time with on their cell phones, or most time, with the possible exception of gamers, most time on their phones or their electronic devices in general, are browsers, and within browsers, search engines, right? Or the results of the searches, to be more precise. So between MASQ and Presearch, we're talking about a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of data that people either don't have control of, or if it goes to somebody else, it has value to that somebody else, they don't get paid for. And it's noble. It's a good cause to change that on both fronts.
And Corey, why the decision to kind of partner up with one search engine to make it a default? I mean, didn't I think it was Microsoft got in trouble for making things default back in the day? Like, didn't that happen?
Yeah, I'm glad you talked about that. It's a good segue to touch on the synergy, and I know that's often loosely used, but just like the joint power behind the partnership. Because I just dropped a link in the comments. You can look at this dashboard, and Presearch has done really well putting this together. I can tell just because being a builder, there's a lot that goes into something like this. But you can see they've got the largest decentralized node network, or one of the largest in the whole space of nodes running, which are indexing and validating searches and handling them. And then you can see the daily searches. So you heard Tim say, look, there's about a 1.6 around searches a day. And all I look at is, how does that value transfer into MASQ? If we can capture some of that, I mean, imagine 1 million searches going through the MASQ browser and the MASQ network. Yes, searches aren't large payload, but that's all bandwidth. That means people are doing the hops. They're adding value. The people are browsing. They're paying each other peer to peer. They're serving and they're consuming. It's amazing, Yeah,
building on that, one of the things that Corey and I are just talking about, and I'm really excited about this, is we've got 85,000 nodes out there, 65,000 of which are active at any given time. And there's a Docker instance, there's hardware, sometimes it's someone's own computer, sometimes it's a VPS, a virtual private server, but the load, the resource yield is below 1% because a search is a fairly easy thing to run from a computer resource perspective. And so what I was looking at before I became the CEO of Presearch was, we had a lot of nodes. We run thousands of nodes. We had a decent percentage of those that are run, single digit, low double digits, I guess, let's say. And so it's a lot of nodes. And we thought, man, we've got all these resources here. What can we do to, use them better, use them more? And talking to Kaori and talking about a couple of other people, it's like, wait a minute, we could put MASQ in the VPN, because we were talking and he mentioned Dockerizing, and I thought, wait, they're already in Docker. We're in Docker. So we're talking about rolling out the Kaori nodes on top of the existing network, which would give MASQ users, VPN providers, or give MASQ the same network that Presearch has, right? Use it all, because to our guys, particularly if we optimize it at, call it the corporate level, right? So that the Docker instance, you don't need, so you run it easily in one Docker instance. My God, talk about a win-win, because all the guys that have paid for the VPS, they've already done that, or they're already doing it. And suddenly they can put another project on, and who knows, maybe we can find more, but the start would be putting MASQ and Presearch on a single node. That'd just be brilliant.
Exactly. We've had some pretty exciting early chats on that. And when I mentioned that you guys have the largest decentralized network, the key there is decentralized. We actually just talked about this the other day, Tim. We're trying to sort of move away from those gatekeeper, big corp. You said big G. I like that, using that instead of the word, in case AI is listening to pick up on keywords. Honestly, we need to decentralize these things so we can move away from that capture and user data being harvested and all that. I mean, the only way to do that is to look at decentralizing. So are people actually running their own nodes, not just in a cloud provider like AWS or those others. And you guys have a very, very impressive decentralized node network. So yeah, I mean, the coolest thing is looking at this idea of basically running a node stack, right? You've got one node that you run. You probably pay for the computing. You pay for your, your dedicated IP address. So you can not only run Presearch, but the idea would be you could run MASQ as well. You could earn for routing traffic, earn for validating and routing searches with Presearch. You basically double dip on the same, it's sunken cost already. You've already
sunk cost. Yeah, it's sunk cost. It doesn't cost you anything more based on, I mean, we've got analysis to do on this, but based on the load that MASQ would appear to put on a node, because we don't put, as I said, we don't put a lot of load on it with a Presearch node. So the configuration is quite small, but I think that minimum configuration will work just fine for MASQ plus Presearch.
Yeah, 100%. And the key is that Docker thing. So those who are listening who aren't super technical, I mean, there's a lot of, words thrown around and like techie stuff, but really what Docker is it's basically like an all-in-one snapshot to install something. So someone doesn't have to have a huge amount of technical knowledge. And it's, of course, what's great about your guys' community, Tim, is a lot of people are passionate about this. They've adopted some of those technical skills to just go ahead and run Presearch nodes as it is. So there's not a big added technical skill to just go ahead and say, well, wow, MASQ has got a Docker, boom, I'm going to add that into my server that I'm running now. And I can earn both on MASQ network, both on Presearch. And that collaborative power is so huge. That's kind of like, the power of today's, chat is that potential is massive. Like this is going to be, hold on to your hats. If you're a node runner, this is going to be really exciting for people, I think.
Yeah, and somebody might say, wait a minute, why Presearch? Why are you just giving away your node network? And it's like, we're not at all. We're the node runners can all decide for themselves. And it's literally to be selfish as forget who's the host name? I forgot.
It's Action.
Action. How could I forget Action? No, I wasn't told Action. Then all right, I didn't forget. But as Action said, you got to look at the selfish side every once in a while. We all have philanthropic bones in our body, but you got to eat. So this is sunk costs. It's zero incremental costs, a little bit of incremental time, but with Docker and our admins help people through that all the time. Have the network, have a 85,000 node network for free, because everyone will earn tokens and everyone wins. It's just the ultimate win-win-win situation. It's great.
Yeah, 100%. And, it just gives people those options. Like you said, some people will really want to do this, the minute it's out, and just hop on board and just sort of, leverage that ease of running it. And that's the thing, with MASQ, that whole bandwidth sharing is the core to the whole protocol, right? Just like sharing, the compute to process and of course the bandwidth too, with processing search requests with Presearch. I mean, so many people in I guess the westernized side of the world, there's never a time when we're using 100% of our bandwidth. I mean, gosh, probably half the people on this call who are in the larger countries, they have fiber. It's gigabit up and down. You're hardly ever using a gigabit of speed. So if you can get a little bit money or earnings potential back from having that underutilized bandwidth by doing something with Presearch and helping freedom of search and uncensored, information flow, and MASQ helping others in censored countries access the rest of the world. I mean, not only are you helping the freedom and digital rights of the world, but you can earn something back. And hey, I know ISPs don't cost as much as they used to, but it's nice to get something out of what you're already paying for, right? And get something back.
Well, sir, you raise an interesting technical point, because it would be possible to run multiple nodes on a single IPv4 is what we use, not IPv6, at least for now. It'd be possible to run multiple on a single address, but we've held, no, we want a single IP address for each node. And
Screensaver, Tim.
Yeah, we lost you there, buddy.
back. Hello.
Yep, you're back.
There he is.
Okay, that is so weird. Sorry. Anyway, I was saying one of the requirements that we've held to that we didn't in theory have to is one IPv4 address for each node. And if we hadn't held to that, we couldn't put both MASQ and Pre on the same node. So that's actually, it gives people a way to monetize the traffic. And second point, I used to work for cell phone, an ISP company, the largest independent telco in Europe, all of Europe, Western, Eastern, Central. And one of the things to reinforce your point about using your bandwidth, the average telco will promise, or ISP or bandwidth provider, now it's all specialized, but they will promise generally between 10 and 12 people who are on the same line something like 99.6% uptime. In other words, when you want the internet, it will be available to you 99.6% of the time. They make that promise to 10 to 12 people on the same line. And 99.6% is actually less than you might think it is, because people generally want to use it at the same time. But everyone, that's their service level agreement, right? The SLA. And on one line, you can make that the same promise to 10 people, and it's a legitimate promise to the 10 people, because statistically, not enough of them will ever be up and using enough bandwidth to stop that from happening. So the fact of the matter is, any single individual rarely uses more than 10% of his bandwidth. So there's plenty of room from a bandwidth standpoint to stack MASQ on Presearch.
I'll tell you what, Tim, I think that people that aren't using all their bandwidth are definitely leaving money on the table. That's for sure. Because, like, for example, my ISP, there is the bandwidth aspect of it, but there's also how much of the bandwidth I'll be able to use. So how much data I'm sending back and forth, and I pay for unlimited. It's an extra upcharge. It's $50 extra a month, and I pay for it because it's a lot of money. So I got to I got to make that money back somehow. You know what I mean? And that uptime, that 96%, it is never ever what I experience. It might be because I'm sharing my bandwidth nonstop and trying to make that money back, but it's tough. It's a tough cookie to crack, and having this decentralized networks all over the place is just going to make it better, because people are going to start to understand that, hey, the decentralization aspect of the data is way, way more important than, just having something that people promise you and you really don't get. So I've mentioned this before. Like, I actually have 2 ISPs for my house, just make sure that I don't have any downtime. And it's kind of crazy. It's critical, right? And the ISPs, they do take advantage of people. And unless you're on a business plan, those guarantees, they don't mean anything. That you don't even get money back, even if they aren't available for days at a time. It's sorry, too bad, come back to us next time, unless you have a service agreement at a business level, which is a little sad because most people don't, and they upcharge that business agreement way more, especially here in the US. Not a great setup, especially given that we're supposed to be like the leading country when it comes to the internet, and it's like, oh no, actually the gigabit is nothing in comparison to what you can get in Japan. So I'm just excited to be part of the innovators in this space that are looking to make the experience better all around.
Yeah, it's good to hear a lot of those industry sort of stats, because it gets people to wake up about how things work in the background, right? Because, for most of us, we just look at a bill, we look at a service, we pay it, and we just say, hey, maybe I could get more out of this. We want to make these added utilities for people, whether it's Presearch, MASQ, these other projects that are allowing people to contribute, and then be part of Web3, right? Where it's read, write, own, like ownership, encompasses a value. So you can also hold the value of your personal data, but also help the networks by, doing these things with the nodes and earn some money. So it's kind of like this cool economy that's really maturing now, Web3, and people are able to access it as simple as, 5 to 10 minutes setup, or when you have a case of one-click Docker for places like Presearch and things that are already live, it's really a couple minutes you can set up. Same with the MASQ browser. We've tried to make it less than 2 minutes to install And you know, we've got a few hiccups we're working on with some operating systems that are like you know, causing a few blockers. But for most people, it's 2 minutes setup, and you can sit there and run it. So that's the future. You got to make things that people want to use, and it's easy to use. And that's I always say, grandma. If we can make it easy for grandma, we've won. We've won the internet because everyone can use it.
Got my vote.
Yeah, man.
And do you have any? What's it like for Presearch, Tim? Like, do you have stats on the types of users that are using your platform by chance?
You mean demographic stats?
Yeah.
Well, you know, keep in mind we don't collect any data, so
that's really what I wanted to hear. But go for it.
Yeah, I mean we don't have any direct data. I shouldn't say any direct data. Some people, we might have some email addresses if they purchased and logged in on a platform that existed before. And there is, because the node has to have an email address attached to it. We know an address, but the address could be anything, right? It doesn't have to be anybody's name. I think the best way to characterize the audience is, again, by monetization. We see what are people interested in by what are they purchasing, because we see gross purchases. We don't see what any individual IP address, much less any person, buys, and we wouldn't want that data anyway. But we do see what the overall purchases are, and it's clearly a younger demographic. 20s, 30s probably is the sweet spot of it. Get the impression it's more male than female, but that's just an impression again because we don't collect any data. But regardless of the gender, given the age, and they seem to have money to spend, and then looking at the industry average, like what click-through rates and other, boring statistics are, when I said we're running, at 3 to 7 times the industry average, I think the demographic that we have it's clearly younger. It's quite tech savvy based on the nature of the purchases, a little bit more male than female, and has disposable income. So if you're looking just at it from an advertising standpoint, God, it could hardly be better.
No, I totally get that. Like with my YouTube channel, and I've mentioned this before, like my, between male and female, yes, you're right. Mine usually hovers around the 99.8% male.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's shorts have more women watching, but when it comes to full length videos, it's mostly males, and it's kind of wild. I mean, it's not that I'm trying to just reach men. It's just that's the people who are looking up this kind of content. I thought it was pretty.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that it's more men. I'm not surprised it's more male than female, but I'm stunned that it's that high a percentage. That's truly lopsided.
It is. It's very lopsided. But like you were saying, like as far as ads are concerned, you're dead on as far as people want to advertise to men, like tech, gadgets, gear, and that generates a lot of revenue. And those ads are the ones that are going to be paying the most. So, the amount of money that a channel that does vlogging versus somebody that talks about crypto, the ROI on there is just ridiculously different. Somebody might get, $1 per 1,000 views as opposed to somebody else getting $23 per 1,000 views. It really, there's a huge disparity there. And it's really because those marketing dollars are being pushed towards a male demographics between the ages of 25 and 55. That's just the truth of it.
Sure. They've got the money to spend. Well, that's right where we are without trying to. I mean, the Presearch is just the search engine that we've been describing, privacy focused, et cetera, and that's the demographic that came. And so since we started to monetize it, since I've come on board, the demographic has been absolutely perfect. We haven't had to do any shifting. We're not.
Come back, Tim. Come back to us, Tim.
Come back, Tim. It's that darn screensaver, man.
Right? I
Whatever
wonder
it
if he
is.
has the little pipes, if that's the one that he's using.
Or is it the spectral, that spectralizer thingy?
If he has the labyrinth, the Windows 3.1 labyrinth, I would be so excited.
Can you still get that? That would be the question.
You can. I have it.
Drop me a link, bro. I need it. I need this in my life. Oh, there he is. He's back. We can hear you.
I am back. Sorry, it's been weird. I'm not moving or anything. It's just, I think it's my phone, the screen just blacking out after a while. Sorry about that.
No problem, man. But we were talking about monetization, right? I think that's a great way to really showcase to anyone listening how much the ethos is aligned with Presearch and MASQ. Because we've said that before. People have asked, hey, how do we know, or how can you inspect how busy your network's going to be to look at growth and make sure the things you're doing is working to grow the community, grow the product, grow the brand, and all that. And again, if you're looking at monetization, the first place you got to look is on chain, which is what we do. And when you see those numbers positive, you know it's really organic. It's not fluff. It's real growth. It's real users coming on and real users using the network. So it's kind of cool that everyone can hear that from both our sides. We believe in that privacy first approach.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why the tie-up, I think, is going to be so successful, so synergistic, as you said, for both projects.
Yeah, 100%. And we're also looking at ways to really reward, the joint community members that are starting to be fostered, right, between MASQ and Presearch. And we know there's a lot of users who are passionate, and it's easy to become passionate about both our projects and the vision we have, for our truly decentralized Web3 or internet, that's moving in that direction, where we can all, own your own data, understand that if I do a search, I'm not going to have 700 points of data on myself shared to other third parties. And we're like, why am I getting these ads all of a sudden? All I did was search one time for Vegas, and now all of a sudden I'm getting all this stuff. My wife's questioning, I need to be careful online. Actually might have that problem too.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because it's one of the many ideas you and I discussed, which I think would be good for both communities to hear, and that is you guys are on testnet now, so it's test tokens that are being given away. So if somebody wanted to set up a MASQ only a node, they would have to pay for a VPS or install it on their own computer, and then wait for your mainnet to launch, right, in Q1 or Q2 of next year. Somebody from Presearch, on the other hand, who's already running a node that cost is already sunk, as we discussed, they could put up a testnet node and MASQ testnet node at no additional cost to them whatsoever, and wait for you to go mainnet, and potentially you could let them first come first serve, and the guys that were on mainnet, whether they're Presearch or not, doesn't matter, but anybody who was on testnet, they get first crack at the mainnet if there's a quota of some sort, right, where you don't want to grow too fast. Or they could have slightly goosed earnings because they supported the project early, all of which would just make sense.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. There's such great ways to do that, and also, give those early movers and early adopters the chance to not only try out the tech, but get ready before the masses, because like you say, it's exactly right. You want to test things out in testnet. You want to get involved early. But to all your guys' communities who are loyal, I'm sure some of your node runners and stuff have been with you for years. Like, there's no extra cost to try us out and run it in testnet and be right there ready in the core of the network to launch on mainnet and start getting the monetized version. And same with any MASQ runners now. Like, if there's people listening and you're running MASQ now in testnet, and you're either doing it headless in your own server, go ahead and check out Presearch, man. We want you all to know that there's really good projects out there that you can monetize your bandwidth with. And Presearch is one of the OGs. I mean, go ahead, and they've got it easy to set up. What we'll probably do from here is send out some guides and post some new guides of how community members from each side can get involved in both, collaborate on that education, tell you all how you can double dip, when that time comes too, and get in access early but also just to help grow the network from both sides. The sky's the limit, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's actually a third project that I spoke to a VC who invested in it, and he goes, "Hey, we also have a Dockerized instance, and we want to launch nodes as well." And we started that conversation, and I've been kicking myself for the last week since I had this thought, and that is, yeah, I've always been looking at it from a retail level. Okay, I'm a little node runner. I want to see what other projects I can stack on this node, and then now that I'm in charge of Presearch, I thought, wait a minute. After talking to you and this other guy, I thought, shoot, we can do this on a company or project to project or protocol to protocol level and make it super easy for the node runners. And it doesn't have to stop at 2. And at some point in time, you're going to need more resources. So then every node runner can make the decision, do I want to add a little bit more RAM, maybe add a little bit more disk space to my VPS configuration so I can add even more projects? But nobody is really, as far as I know, nobody is looking at, okay, how many Docker projects can I stack? What are the tokenomics of it? What are the economics of it? Because you're earning tokens but paying in fiat as a general rule for your VPS. So there's some really cool possibilities. There's some really cool equations. And I'm only getting started with putting MASQ on this. And then if we can make those projects Web3, which would be the ideal, right? And they're decentralized, so there should be some out there. Who knows? We could have not only a little alliance of Web3 privacy-focused projects, from everything from storage to CPU sharing, but we could actually have them all stacked on, or as many as people wanted to, on the same set of nodes or the same general node network. I mean, crazy good stuff that's possible, I think.
Oh yeah, the potential's huge. And like, I've been writing a few ideas like since our meetings we've had, like, a lot recently, and something that we can really rally around. It would be something like that, develop a Web3 node stack where it's like an open source Docker that all these things are vetted, added in together, and someone can just deploy in one server, and they can run everything that they choose to opt in for, right? Presearch, MASQ, other things they support, all like that focus on Web3 and stuff, and earn from all of them, and the same server expense, And I know there's some projects that are doing that, but we got to leverage that exactly.
Oh, absolutely. This is the beginning. It's the core of an idea. But let's get it done. You got to run before you got to walk before you can run. Let's knock this out and then start adding, potentially start adding others. But let's make it easy for researchers and others now.
Oh yeah, 100%. This is the start of it, and yeah, it's cool that everyone got to join in today and like just hear about some of the history, what you guys are achieving at Presearch, what we're achieving, and how that vision is now shared in a lot of ways moving forward. Lots of cool stuff coming in through into the new year. Yeah, and I mean, if Tim, we'll probably wrap up here. If you wanted to maybe give out a little summary of Presearch to the newcomers, or some things you'd like to see people check out, feel free to give a little outline of that. Or I know this is Action's little closeout mention. Hey.
Well, I mean, it's simple. It's presearch.com. Check it out. If you load an extension, it just defaults to Presearch as your search engine. Privacy focused. Don't collect any data. And you get paid to search if you're into that, especially if you stake. You can run a node if you want to. We also have a third kind of staking. Well, I think Presearch has more utility than any project in the crypto space. Keyword staking. So if you want to, if you have a project and it has to do with diesel motors, you can stake 1,000 pre on diesel motors. And anytime somebody searches on something like that, they'll have a link, like an ad link to your project. So the opportunities are wild, but at its core, it's a meta search engine. You can pick from over 100 search engines to use through Presearch, and it is focused on privacy. Did I lose you guys?
Not at all. I think that we now need to hear from Corey, if you can give us the wrap up on MASQ.
Yeah. For all those who are new, and listening in from the Presearch side, or just coming along to just see what we're about. Yeah, we share so much of that vision with Presearch. I mean, we believe, our modern world shouldn't have barriers and censorship and tracking and all of that. So yeah, we've built a software stack to offer that peer-to-peer with a borderless browsing for everyone. So we've solved that with our flagship products of the MASQ Web3 browser. You can try that out now. Hop on maskbrowser.com and you can download it. So if you're on your desktop, it's desktop app only at the moment, but you can get it for Windows, Mac, and Linux. We're constantly releasing new versions and taking feedback from all of you who are wonderful testers in the community, coming in and telling us what you like. It's something, isn't quite working or you need help. We've got a great team in our Discord. And on that note as well, Presearch has got a great team in their Discord too, where if anyone has trouble setting up a node, they got some people on there straight away to help you guys troubleshoot. So yeah, we want to power this all with the users themselves. So not track anybody and do it all through decentralization. So, if you want to find out more, go to check out all of our links, like and subscribe our accounts today. Hop into our Discord, discord.gg/mask with a Q, and a lot of cool things coming as well. But definitely keep in the know, jump in and chat with us, and really appreciate your time today. Tim, thank you for coming on and, showing that vision with me.
Thanks for the invite, man. Really appreciate it. We'll be talking a lot over the coming months and probably years.
Oh, yeah. And hey, we'll plug that live stream you got too. I'm waking up early on a Saturday morning. I won't drink Friday night just to make sure I'm fresh for our stream. We'll be ready, man.
No, actually, you're probably better off. We're probably better off if you do drink, but I'll leave that up to you.
Okay, I'll make a little choice of what the spirits will be.
There you go. There you go. All right. Yeah. So you're right. He's on our live stream for everybody. We're going to repay the favor. Or he's going to repay the favor tomorrow at 9:30 West Coast time, 12:30 East Coast time. And God, you tell me what time it is in New Zealand. It's what is it going to be? Like 6:30 in the morning your time.
Is it tomorrow or is it Friday your time? It'd be Friday.
Wait, today's Wednesday. Oh, I lost a day. I'm sorry. You're right. It's Friday. It's Friday.
That's the one.
And yes, that's right. It's Saturday morning early your time. Thank you for getting up early on a Saturday. But I look forward to it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, man. And cool to chat with your team. I love the energy with all your guys' team. You got a good culture there. And I'm excited, to just chat with everyone and talk to your community too. So thanks again, and we look forward to that one. Maybe Action has a little freestyle for us or some song to send us off today.
Oh, we're going to be nice and quiet, nice and chill so we can enjoy the rest of the night.
Nice.